Next up, we have Jacob from Jewish Insider.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good, Jacob. How are you?
I'm doing great. So there was a report, and I just wanted to see if you can confirm that you met with Orthodox Jewish community leaders yesterday. And the report says that both community leaders and yourself expressed certain regrets on the approach they took early on. And I wanted to see if you can expand on that, whether you think that the community and city government is on a reset.
Well, I think we absolutely need a positive reset, Jacob. It was a very moving meeting, a very productive meeting. Group of leaders from Brooklyn and Queens, some of whom I've known very, very well for as much as 20 years. And a very honest meeting. We really took our time to talk through everything that had happened from the beginning of the pandemic and how painful it's been for everyone and how confusing it's been. But I think what the meeting really helped me to appreciate is that so many people in the community have suffered. And they need to know that we as the city government understand their suffering, understand the difficulties the community's gone through, understand the fears that people have, rightfully, of discrimination, and that we need to hear each other more and understand each other more. I did express my regrets. Look, I think in the beginning of this process, I thought we had done some good work to communicate with community leaders about how important it was to all work together, and I thought I saw really good results from that. Honestly, I did see really good results from that. We had amazing support from community leaders and institutions. And I said at the time, including doing really tough things like closing houses of worship voluntarily at the height of the crisis in March and April. But, you know, I look back now and understand there was just more dialogue that was needed. I certainly got very frustrated at times when I saw large groups of people still out without masks, but I think more dialogue would have been better. So I certainly want to express my regret that I didn't figure out how to do that better. And obviously, you know, that one night in Williamsburg, I let my frustration and concern get away with me, and I should have been more careful in my language, and I've expressed my apology for that before. But I think it was a good, honest conversation about how hard it is to get people in the community to understand in an ever-changing environment why the information coming from the government is something they can have faith in when there's been so many changes, so many mixed messages from Washington, D.C. And I think the number one takeaway from the meeting was more dialogue, more communication is the way forward. Go ahead, Jacob.
You mentioned mass testing and that the numbers are leveling off in certain red zones. Do you have a specific indication where mass testing has indicated a better sample of what the real positive rate is, or is it just leveling off because we are seeing people comply more carefully with the guidelines?
Look, I think it's honestly a bit of both, Jacob. I think what we learned long ago in places like Sunset Park and Soundview is when you alert people to a problem and you educate and you do mass distribution, things like that, it really does help get folks to be more disciplined. We certainly see in the red and orange zones more and more people wearing masks, more and more people practicing social distancing. That really helps unto itself. But I think obviously, you know, anytime you get more testing, you get a better look at things. And in a lot of the city, I think folks were getting to pretty low levels of testing. And, you know, there's still, as I said, a lot of New Yorkers never got tested at all. That actually makes it harder to understand what's going on. So I think we clearly are seeing an uptick in testing now that we've sounded the alarm. And it does not surprise me at all. The more testing, the clearer picture. And typically what we found is the more testing, the better the picture becomes.